Hey, sports fans, welcome on in. Down and Dirty. Scott Mitchell here. So glad you could join the show. As always, it's a great show today, as always. And we love your patronage. Please like, subscribe, do all that stuff. We thank you. We're growing leaps and bounds every day, by the minute, by the second, by the hour. So, one tip for all of you: do not speed. Okay, slow down. Do not get tickets. Do not speed. The police they're your friends, they're not your enemies. So no speeding. Of course, I had I had a difficult commute today from my bedroom to the studio. Whew, it was a tough one. I don't know. Anyways, joining me on the show, and he's going to be on the show all day today. Going to be my partner in crime today is none other than Martin Kelly. He is, of course, my trusted producer. Martin's got his Mammoth hat on today, so we're excited about the Mammoth and where they're going. Hockey is in full swing. All of the I guess first round matchups have been decided, and there's still games left. How many games have got left in hockey, Martin?
We got one game left, so I think it's tonight. I think it's the final game of the season. I could be wrong about that, but the playoffs start tomorrow. But yeah, it's gonna be exciting. Let's see what happens. We got ourselves a good rivalry here, Scott. Salt Lake City versus Las Vegas, Nevada. Vegas
Yeah.
versus Utah. It's gonna be fun.
Well, the compelling thing about the Golden Knights and of course the Mammoth is one, the proximity, and it's really one of those things where it could develop into a really good rivalry, and hockey's a great sport to have those rivalries. Part of what will make it interesting is there are Golden Knights fans in Utah. Like Las Vegas in its proximity, in its accessibility. It's not hard to get to Las Vegas from Salt Lake. A lot of people do it. A lot of people, there are a lot of Raiders fans in Salt Lake and in Utah for the same reason, the proximity. So just because you're in Utah doesn't necessarily mean you're going to be cheering for the home team, and that creates, we hate that, but we love it as well. So it'll be fun to watch and see where the Mammoth go with hockey. Okay, we have some hot headlines to start the show off with. We typically like to start the show with the hot headlines. It's the things that move the needle. It's the things that we go, whew, that's hot. We don't like cold stuff, except we do like cold fusion. It was actually invented in Utah, at the University of Utah. We don't know exactly what cold fusion is. We just know it's a thing, and we do like. I like cold leftovers, Martin. I don't know. Do you like cold leftovers? Are you
Oh,
a You
absolutely.
just eat anything, won't you?
That's a very funny way of saying that. If you put a plate in front of me, it won't last.
Is that a
Yeah,
true statement?
co- it's not a false statement. That's very
Okay.
very
So
true
you,
there.
look, it's okay. I like food.
No,
I
yeah,
have
yeah,
a
yeah. I'm making a joke out of it, but I mean, cold pizza and as awkward it can be sometimes, you would think, well, that doesn't sound good cold, but cold fried chicken are good, man. They're
yeah.
just good the next day.
Sometimes it is. Yeah, there's no question.
Yeah.
And for the folks out there, what you don't know, Martin is like 6'8". Martin is a tall. You don't look tall on the video, but you're
Mm.
tall actually in person. So there's a lot of room in there for Martin to consume cold things. So all right, so let's get started with some of these hot headlines here today. We have the Live Golf Tour is on the brink of just crashing. The Saudis put in about $5 billion into Live Golf, and it looks like this experiment may be ending. Of course, Greg Norman recently said, "No, man, we're strong. We're going." Of course, what else are you going to say? But where there's smoke, there's fire, and this to me, boy, this opens up a whole lot of questions. And I'm curious, first of all, what happens to all these players when this ends? There's been a real hatred towards Live Golf and some of these players. Brooks Koepka came back to the PGA Tour. I mean, Tom Watson just said, "I lifetime ban them. Don't let any of them back." But if the league folds, what happens to the players from the Live Tour?
That's an interesting thought there, Scott. And my thinking is that I think just like with Brooks Koepka, who left, and of course they opened the door a little bit for like some of the major tournaments, right? We saw with the Masters, with the Players, with the Open, so they allow these guys to come back onto the PGA Tour for a one-time event. Obviously that's just what makes golf and the fan base love it because they get to see those guys come back. I hope it's with open arms that they can come back to the PGA Tour. I don't blame these players for leaving. If guarantee money was on the table and you can get, for 50 a place, $1 million or so, which is you're not going to get paid on the big tour or the PGA Tour, then might as well go. So there are some significant players, like you mentioned, with this Phil Mickelson, Sergio Garcia, Cameron Smith, Bubba Watson, John Rahm, just to name a few guys on this list. Obviously, Phil Mickelson, Bryson DeChambeau, some of the bigger names on the tour, Patrick Reed. It's a question. I lean towards the way of it should be open arms. Obviously, these are some of the best players in the world. It's just what they saw the green dollars. They thought the grass was greener on the other side, and unfortunately, it's kind of dried up, and it's not as good as it was once before.
Yeah, I think the whole premise of LIV Golf was to make it more entertaining. The players certainly felt like there was a lot more money on the table they weren't being able to take advantage of, and I think in some regards, LIV Golf actually helped the PGA Tour in that regard. I mean, the Masters champion last weekend won over $4 million in first place, and so the prize money across the board is better, whether you finish first or later in the event. So I think that was a good thing. But I think a lot of people, I think they maybe misread the golf world, and that was shorter events, kind of more of a team environment. Hey, we're going to kind of make it fun. We're gonna wear shorts. We're gonna kind of engage all this stuff, and people just didn't go, wow, this is amazing. I just really want to watch it. I don't know that I've watched one single LIV event. I may have watched it for 5 seconds, and I just couldn't get into it. It's hard to find it. It's just kind of it's almost like these guys just went off. It was like they did military service or something, and they just went away for a couple years, and it's like, okay, we know they're out there, but we don't see them anymore. And so I don't think the golfing world, the fans really said, yeah, this is something we want to engage in. I think it hurt. I think it hurt a little bit with the play, and where these players aren't playing as much. They're not playing the same competition. You have one less round in every event you play, and when they would come back and play, it's like most of them didn't compete, and it's like their game wasn't in tune to play and be competitive on the PGA Tour. One of the other things they mentioned was, well, it's an easier schedule, which allows me to have more time with my family. And then most of them realize, we're traveling clear around the freaking world all the time for these events. And so it kind of made it, harder because they kind of have to participate in a lot of the events. You're getting paid all this money. So it just it was an experiment that maybe just went a little bit too far. And I just hope that, I hope that when it is over, that there's peace among all the people and these golfers are able to come back, because it will make the PGA Tour even better when you infuse it with talent like John Rahm and some of these guys, and Bryson DeChambeau, and some of the older golfers. It's not going to matter as much, but some of these guys who are still right in the middle of their prime, that's going to, I believe, raise the bar, raise the interest, raise the the product on the PGA Tour. So it's like one of those things. It's like, okay, fine, great, nice try. It was interesting, but it just didn't work out, and let's move on.
Yeah, I 100% agree with everything you said on that. It's just, it's another way to look at it, Scott. I'm not going to dive too far into it, but it's like, remember the USFL when they tried to challenge the NFL and try to create its own schedule during the fall? It's like there's that one established league, and there's always those come ups that try to set itself as another established league that compete with the NFL or the NBA or whatever. I thought Live Golf was trying to go down that route. It was a nice attempt, but I don't think there's anything really, if it was established and if it was to gain interest, I don't think there's anything that could take over the PGA. The PGA has a firm grip on the mainstream golf, and so I think it's a lovely attempt, but it just didn't work out.
Well, live is the Roman numerals for 54, and that's a 54 hole like that was the whole, oh, well, we've got 54 holes, we're not the and I don't think people cared, and to me it's like I live like, I don't know. I don't like the name anyway, so we'll see.
Yeah,
All right.
it just didn't catch on. That's it.
Yeah. All right. Apparently, some NFL players were involved in a college scam. Michael Penix, some of these other big names were happened. Please explain to me what this was and what's going on, Martin.
Yeah, so apparently a former Alabama football player was caught in like some wire fraud, identification stealing scenario here, and alleged Luther Davis trying to pretend that he was like some NFL players, Michael Penix, David Njoku, and Xavier McKinney from the NFL, trying to just get money and just try to steal people's identity. So they caught on to his little scheme there. I mean, that's always kind of scary, no matter who you are as like a regular human, but like as a celebrity to have your identity stolen is a bit of a serious red flag you got to deal with, right?
So this actually happened to me.
Really?
Yeah, not like this, but it was. So what happened was, I was playing for the Miami Dolphins, and I got a phone call, and it was from a singing group. Was it In Vogue? They were, I think they were a singing group, and this lady's just ripping me a new one, like, and I'm like, hold on, what's going on? And she's like, man, if you're trying to get tickets to our concert, man, you know, would you just let us know that it's you or that you're trying to get them for somebody else? And I go, huh? I go, I don't even like your music. I don't even know who you are. And apparently someone had used my name or identification to try to get, tickets for free. Right. And go to an In Vogue concert. And I'm like, yeah, I'm sorry about that, but that didn't happen. I did have another experience, and this is a real thing. Like, players are constantly a target for, because they're just a target because they're stupid and they're young, they don't know any better, and they have money, right? So that's just a recipe for, you have a bullseye on your chest. And and this of course happened to me after I was done playing, but I had someone that was was impersonating me, trying to wire money to like some woman in Kansas City, Missouri. And
Oh,
and so my bank called me and they said, we got an email from you today that you're trying to wire money from your account. Are you wiring money? And I'm like, heavens no, like what's going on? So I go to the bank. I'm sitting in the bank manager's office, and we're kind of, we're talking about this, and he goes, man, look, we have stuff like this going on every day. People are just like and as we were sitting there and he was explaining how prevalent this is, the person who was supposed to be me sent another email to the branch manager. He goes, I'm looking at my computer right now, and you are sending me an email wondering where we are in the wire transfer process. And it wasn't me. And I'm like, so they did some investigation on it, and it was actually some people in I think it was India, and they had some straw person in Kansas City, and it was a woman, and they go, yeah, that with there's so many layers of this, and it's so far removed that you'll never find who these people are. They're not in the United States. They're in some other country. A lot of them come out of Africa. Some of them come out of India. But they look for and they scrub your information. And so I had to change all my passwords, and I had to get really like cryptic passwords and all kinds of stuff. So I'm a master of like security as it relates to my passwords today. And so Anyways, but yeah, it's a real thing. It's really quite frightening. And I've had players who had people impersonate them, like at a bar. They're trying to pick up women, and so they, and I've heard of those things too. And there's just all kinds of crazy stuff going on in the world today. So watch out who you are and who you associate with, and have strong passwords. That's what I say. Did any of these players, by the way, was anyone impacted by this, or was it like
reportedly no, not like significantly, like $2 million went missing or something like that. But nothing significant.
Yeah, it's crazy. People get away with that stuff. So I actually I sold a boat too, and the boat I sold, I sold it through a national boating publication called Boat Trader, right? And so they have these magazines that come out, and they have online. So you can post your boat on Boat Trader, and you get calls from all over. I live in Utah, and so I was getting calls from Texas and California and Idaho, and people, and I ultimately sold it to a guy in Wisconsin. He came to Utah and picked up the boat. But the first one I got, they send me an email and they go, "Hey, boats are really hot right now. We'll pay you more than we'll pay you $10,000 more than what you're asking for your boat." I'm like, "Holy cow, okay." And I said, "Yeah, I'll sell you my boat. Why not?" Right. And so they sent me two cashier's checks, and they were equal amounts. And I'm like, "Okay, that's weird. Why'd they send two of these? And why are they the same amount?" And I knew that was a red flag to start with. And then they go, "Okay, we're sending more money than what we agreed to. And if you'll go get a check, and once these checks come, will you, when they show up, will you write a check and then send it to our and we'll give you the email address or the address or whatever. And if you'll send this check, it's for the shipping, to ship the boat." And so I go to my bank and I go, "Tell me, like, cashier's checks, are they like gold?" And they go, "No." So they went and they did a search on the cashier's checks and found they were bogus. And the whole thing was bogus. And what they were trying to do was scam me out of about $10,000 with my boat. So if I'd have sent them a check for the transportation cost of the boat, I'd have been out that money. And not only would I have been out, I would have been implicit in their fraud, because I was now sending. And so I go to the police and they're like, "Yeah." And I go to Boat Trader and I go, "Do you realize this is happening?" And they go, "Unfortunately, it does happen. Here's the thing. No one is going to buy your boat unless they come and look at it. Like, no one's going to buy it unless they look at it. So if someone's just going to hand you a check like that, no, just run from that," which was the case anyway. So people are trying to scam us all the time. And I'm always like, why don't you use this money towards good things, right? Why are you doing this? All right. Let's move on with our hot headlines. Leave us alone. That's all I'm saying. Leave us poor people alone. Quit trying to steal us and rob from us. All right. The Baltimore Ravens have a new uniform look heading into the season. The Rams are doing this, of course. Who else was
Washington just
did the Washington earlier. Commanders and
Tennessee Titans.
Is this the time of year? Do they like to do this to coincide with the draft, and everybody's going to get excited, like who we drafted? Not only are we drafting new players, man, but we're getting new unis. All right, what do you think of these unis? You like them?
I think I like them. There's not a whole lot of difference. This all purple alternate jersey all the way on the end. It's always been one they've been wearing for like the last few years. The white jersey, I don't know, maybe the font is a little different. I don't see any real difference on the helmet. Maybe the pants are a little bit more purple. Same thing on the home uniform. Not really a whole lot of difference. And Lamar Jackson wearing the all black uniform. I think that's a cool alternate jersey right there for Baltimore. I think I think it's a nice style. It's not bad. I'll give them an 8 out of 10. They didn't really do anything different with home and away. And with the alternates, I like the attempts. I think they're pretty solid. I'll give them that.
Here's the deal. You can put all you want, different cuts of jerseys, different tones, different this and that. Purple is ugly. Purple does not belong on a football. Like between the Minnesota Vikings and and I played for Baltimore and I hated it. I thought, oh man, this is the worst jersey. I hated it. The only thing that I even like remotely is more of the traditional look with the darker uniform on top, the white pants. But oh yeah, this whole thing. Here's another thing. I just noticed this, and I don't know if I don't know what this means, but it's like, why does everyone have like such ripped arms? Like everyone today is just like, man, they're all cut up and they're all just, they just, I don't know, just look at everybody's arms there, and I'm just like, man, this, and what it looks like to me, this is why it's like I hate this. Okay, I really do hate it. I'll tell you who I hate it the most on. I hate it the most on quarterbacks. I look at these arms and they're bulging and what it looks to me like is there's no like freedom of movement. It's like we're all just we're muscle bound and we can't move around. And it's like, man, I like the fluidity, and the grace and all these things. He's just a bunch of meatheads in the NFL with like amazingly ripped arms with shortcut jerseys. And by the way, the tight jerseys, and everybody wears freaking tight jerseys today. I hated those jerseys. I hated it when it was just all, you couldn't breathe, and it's just like, and it's the thing today. It's the thing. So you can have your purple jerseys, you can have all the things you want, but you know what? I'm gonna do an impromptu. It sucks to be you. I'll just tell you right now. It sucks to be all you people in that photo right there. I'm kind of kidding. All right. Well,
that was the way to end it right there. I like that.
Yes. Yeah. So we're gonna take a break here because I need to breathe a little bit after seeing this jersey thing. And yeah, it's jerseys are like the whole uniform thing is a thing. It's always been a thing, and it always is a thing. And every player has kind of their thing about their jersey, right? The NFL is very staunch about everyone has to be uniform, and we're not going to get into all these crazy, individual type of things and because I'm sure with the outlandish nature of the personalities of players in the NFL, that you would just see ridiculous uniform combinations and all kinds of stuff, socks up, one down, all this, crazy this and that. Everyone has the arm sleeve, they're trying any possible way to just be unique and different. Jackson Dart, it's like, okay, Ibach goes like this, and Jackson Dart goes, no, it's gonna go like that. I'm gonna rub it right across my face and do and which is so so idiotic, right? Like, and so they have to police this. I get it. Otherwise, it's just going to be a free for all. And but wouldn't it be fun for like just one moment in time? They say, okay, how you have like, you work and they have one day where it's dress down day, at work, like they declare a day, and they have breast awareness month, right, for breast cancer and all that. Is that right? Did I say that right?
Yeah, breast cancer awareness.
Yeah, not breast awareness. Let me tell you something. They're always aware of the breasts in the NFL. It's like they don't need a month. They don't need pink, purple, anything. They're always aware. Breast cancer, not breasts. Okay, we got to get that clarification there. Anyways, so they wear pink, right? Just let 1 week. Just say, okay, you all can dress however you want. You can do uniform. You can whatever you one game a year. We're gonna let our hair down, and let's just see what y'all come up with. They do that thing where they decorate the shoes, right? Don't they? Yeah, I mean that's kind of that freedom of expression kind of thing. But man, I'd just like to see what combination of uniform these players came up with if they were just allowed to do whatever they want for 1 week. I have I don't know if you know this or not, Martin. They have a person that's employed by the National Football League, and they are the uniform police. Did you know this?
I did not know about this.
Yes. So what they do, and the guy for the Detroit Lions, I know we were teammates, and he's
Oh,
now the uniform. He's the uniform cop. You know, he's one level above a mall cop, right? He's a uniform cop. I don't think they give him a gun though, but he does have a pencil and a piece of paper, and he writes down all the violations. So the players come on the field. Anytime you come on the field, your uniform has to fit the code. There is a poster in every locker room, and it describes, there's a dude standing there, and it looks like Ray Nitschke from the 1960s, and it goes, here's where your helmet has to be, and this is the unit, and this is what it's got to look like, and all this stuff, and it has descriptions on each part of your body, like it has to be below your knees, and the socks have to be pulled all the way up to the top, and there has to be a balance of color in your all the different things, and your uniform has to be tucked in, and it can't be hanging out in any form, fashion, whatever. And so he goes around the sideline, and he looks at all of the players on the field, and he goes, number 21, socks are too low. Number 24, his shirt is out. All these different things. And then he goes in, and before the game starts, he gives this to the team, and they go, fix it. Like, you're in violation here. Fix it, or you're fined. So they have people monitoring your behavior. Now, not only do that, but players like to cheat, right? So there's no substances that you can put on your uniform, like they put silicone, right? So they have a can. They go to the Ace Hardware or Home Depot, and they buy cans of silicone, and they spray it on the jerseys of the offensive linemen. And the reason they do that, well, it's a defensive lineman, is the offensive lineman, and because the guys grab their jerseys, and so your hands just slip off. You hit the jersey because it just flies off the jersey. So the officials, and they do this right before the players go on the field. They don't do it like an hour, or in pregame or anything like that, because they know all these guys are going to do the dirty. It's a little bit like the knuckleball pitcher that puts sandpaper in. It's the same thing, and they do this in the NFL. And so these officials, they pat down the linemen as they're walking out of the locker room to go on the field, to make sure that they're not doing anything nefarious in these situations. So yes, uniforms are a thing in the NFL, and they're anal about it's got to look. Uniforms have to be uniform, and they are in the NFL. All right, let's take a break. We come back. We got some great NFL news of notes right around the corner. I'm partnered with my buddy Martin Kelly today on a fabulous Friday. We'll be back in just a minute.
Tervis is all about staying hydrated with style and durability. You can trust Tervis tumblers to keep your drinks the perfect temperature, hot or cold, for hours. From the classic insulated tumblers to sleek stainless steel water bottles, each product is built to last and comes in endless designs to match your personality. Stay refreshed and express yourself with Tervis. Visit tervis.com today and find your perfect tumbler.
Welcome back, folks. Martin is 1,000% ready for the show, and we are on the go. So let's bring you more of the Down and Dirty. Welcome back. So glad you could be a part of the show. We do something every day here on the show, and it's called the NFL News of Notes. And the reason we do it is because everything is noteworthy in the NFL. There's always something to talk about, and we talk about it. It's 24/7, 365. The NFL is in session. So there's a lot of buzz. And as we talked in the first segment, a lot of these teams are revealing their new scheme, right? Their new look for their teams. The draft is less than a week away, and that is always a topic of discussion and excitement. And I love it every year when the New York Jets fans just get so demoralized and dejected. Every year they think they're going the savior of the Jets is going to come and rescue us from our perpetual badness, and it has never happened. So I think the funnest part about the draft is, and especially when it was always in New York, because you just always got those obnoxious New York fans. And why do you by the way, why do you have to be obnoxious from New York? Like who gave you the right to go and just be an idiot? It's like, just be like the rest of us and just be normal human beings. Why you got to be such a it's like just opinionated and loudmouth and boisterous. Who does that kind of stuff? Come on, be nice.
I do not know. I will agree with that. I do not know.
Okay, to start things off, this was an interesting thing. Zach Flowers had some words about Baltimore Ravens head coach John Harbaugh and his practices, and believes that a lot of the injuries that happened with the Ravens were as a result of the practice habits of John Harbaugh. And this is quite a challenging topic, only because everyone talks about the process of practice and that it was absolutely essential in order for teams to do well, and yet there's this whole idea of maybe less is more. Now, according to Flowers, it's like they were in full pads all the time. Now, what that means, I don't know, and he's talking about week 17 of the season, and they're still in full pads, and they're going after this. I was of the impression that the collective bargaining agreement kind of limited some of the practices, and it changed dramatically from what it was in the past. So just the fact that he's bringing this up is a little bit shocking to me, in that I thought they kind of went soft on practices anyway. So I'm curious why he's saying this now. And it's another thing. It's like, when the coach is gone, now we're going to say all the things. Well, we hadn't practiced different. Everyone always has their, it's like, why don't you talk about these things when they're going on instead of after the fact?
Yeah, I agree with that. I remember America's game. It was about the 99 Rams. It was about Dick Vermeil, and it said in the video that he had practices once for like 3 hours and would just ground guys into the ground, and they would be so tired to go home. And then he changed it up and went to an hour and a half practice, and the camaraderie and the morality of the team got better, and they rallied around their coach and they got it. I compare it to this only because Zay Flowers has some issues with John Harbaugh. Obviously, Lamar Jackson clashed with John Harbaugh. Obviously, there were some defensive players who clashed with Harbaugh as well. Like, it obviously shows that Harbaugh's, toughness and grit and his old school style just kind of wore off on guys the wrong way, and it wasn't the way that he thought it would go over with the team. And maybe Zay Flowers is just saying, the practices were a little bit hard, and we're not as, cohesive as they should have been because, something that went on in the background between them two. Who knows? But this is always something you see from former players. It's when the coach leaves that you finally have the chance to say something that you want to say. And right now, I think it's a little minor, but this is also harsh in Harbaugh because, if he was this stronghold and saying, you know what, I don't care what the CBA says, we're going to practice Monday through Thursday in full pads, then maybe guys were getting a little frustrated and a little ticked and a little bit banged up because they were just going physical 100% from the jump.
Well, let's just start with who this is. Okay, who's saying, "Oh man, it was because of the way we practice." This is a wide receiver. Okay, it's a wide receiver, and he can say all he wants. Like, just so you know, a wide receiver and saying, "Well, we practice in pads all the time." They have about the lightest shoulder pads. They don't have knee pads. They don't have it. He doesn't have any pads on. He's got his helmet on.
Yeah, that's true.
He's got his helmet on and some kind of thing on his shoulders that are just very light, very diminutive. So it's like, no, like you can't even listen. I'm going to say this: you can't even listen to a wide receiver about how we should practice. Now, if you want to talk about an offense or defensive lineman and those guys, because those guys are the ones that really are the ones practicing in their pads, and they're the ones who really need it, and they need they need the timing of the running game, and they need all this stuff. And there is a point of like diminishing return where you really kind of you grind it into the ground. I played for Don Shula. We were in pads all the time, and that was just kind of how it was. And those practices were kind of grueling and grinding and all that. And a lot of these coaches, but a lot of them also figured out that there is a point where it is too much. So kind of learning how to get your work done and also have some preservation and minimize the risk of things. The San Francisco 49ers, they never practice in pads with Bill Walsh like that, and they were phenomenal, but they practiced at a high level. It's like, okay, you're not in pads, you still gotta bring it as far as how you practice and the things you do there. So I don't know that there's one absolute proven way, because the Ravens were actually relatively healthy at the end of the season. John Harbaugh was always competitive, always had team, won a Super Bowl and did a lot of things. I think he might have won 2. But regardless, he's been a great coach. And I think it's more, you lose the players for some reason, whatever it is. And maybe it's just like they're, because as a coach, you have routines, right? And you just stay with those routines because that works. And after a while, people go, man, I'm bored with the routine. It's like changing the uniform. It's like, we need to change the uniform. We need to change it up around here for no reason. Like the old uniform is totally fine, but we just need a fresh look. We need a fresh approach. And eventually every coach wears out their welcome. And I don't know that it's so much about practice and about having the, well, we were in pads in week 17, whatever. I think it's just more of, we just got tired. We got tired of hearing the coach, and we just didn't respond to it anymore. And that's, that's just human nature. And people could say, and now John Harbaugh goes to New York Giants, and all of a sudden they're all excited about John Harbaugh. He wins a Super Bowl or 2 in New York, and everyone goes, Harbaugh wasn't that bad. I don't know why we got rid of Harbaugh, whatever. Having a wide receiver complain about practice is not to me, not the issue here. It's just like you were saying, Martin, there were issues with the coach, and whether they manufactured or just got, it just got old. It's just kind of how it happens sometimes.
Yeah, it does.
All right. Joe Flacco is not a fan. He's not a fan of adding an 18th game. Okay. Now, I, again, am going to go to the source. Like, what the freak? They need to talk to offense and defensive linemen about, it's just a quarterback. And not only is a quarterback, it's a 45-year-old quarterback. Yeah, it's because you don't have many throws left. It's like you're living on borrowed time as it is. And no offense, because I'm a fan of Joe Flacco's and all that, and just kind of how I've always been a fan of Joe Flacco. But, for him to say, oh, yeah, we can't have that 18th game, that's got to be an issue here. So, anyways, I have a hard time with Joe Flacco telling us about an 18th game. I don't see the issue with it. And I think there has to be, if you're going to add it, you have to subtract somewhere. So subtract the preseason, get rid of the preseason, have one game in the preseason. The whole thing is different than it used to be. These players are in shape year round. Training camp was to get players in shape in the past. you know who your team is predominantly. So there you go. I just think I think that they should have the 18th game, and I think Joe Flacco should just be grateful that he's still in the league.
I I think it's a bit harsh on the end, but to your point, should Joe Flacco be the one carrying the banner for this, revolt of an idea of saying no to 18 games? I don't think he should be the one. If Burrow came out or Mahomes came out or Lamar Jackson came out or Saquon Barkley or someone like that who has some prestigeness in the league, I would agree with them. 18 games, I think it's too much. I'm not a fan of January NFL scheduled football games. I always liked it when it ended around Christmas and the playoffs were in January. But the NFL is always after more money. You can't really fight them on that one. But I mean, I don't disagree with your point on preseason. I like preseason games. I like watching the second and third stringers for a few drives, just see who's out there trying to compete, right? You always want to see the first team do well, try to get warmed up before the season starts. But I agree with you. Talent's always, you know, training year round. It's not like what it was 40, 50 years ago. Yeah, I think if you're gonna replace preseason games and just take them out, Scott, I think what you should do is those practices where you have the Browns and the Giants meet up for a practice, right? And they
Yeah, yeah.
interlock with that. Then just have one football field be the starters, go up against starter versus starters, and have one football field just be all your backups, right? And have as many scouts and many eyes as you can just to make sure you know what you're looking at, coaches, whatnot. Because the second and third stringers still need their time to prove that they deserve to be on the roster. They're still fighting for roster spots, but starters are starters. So, but to wrap it all up, it is kind of funny. It's coming from Joe Flacco. I'm not a fan of 18 games, but the NFL will go that direction because of money. So it is what it is. But a 2-week preseason schedule doesn't sound too terrible to me. I can live with that. It used to be
Well,
6 games.
yeah, and I think it's 2 now. So, isn't it just 2 or is 3?
It's still
2 or
3.
3?
It's still 3 at the moment because they took one
Yeah.
game and added to the season.
I'd go to 1 game. Here's the thing.
Yeah.
You go into camp, 95% of your roster. Like they know who these players are. They've evaluated them. There might be a couple of surprises, and they show up early, and so you have enough time to evaluate. I'm totally lock and step with that. But the one thing that I like, and here's what I like about the schedule. First of all, as a player, like all you're trying to do is get through the preseason. Like you just want to get it over. And you sit here and you go, look, I don't want to risk the opportunity for injury in the preseason. And a lot of these players are saying, well, if we have extra games, you could get injured. And it's like, yeah, but you could also get injured in preseason games. I mean, anytime you step on the field, there's the potential of an injury. And I'd rather have an injury in a game that's meaningful than to be injured in one that doesn't count for anything. The other thing that I really like about the regular season, there's a lot of things, but some of the primary ones are that very point. Like if you start slow in a season with having a couple of extra games, there's still a chance to come back from that. There's more room to improve your, because you have more games to play. And so you have a chance to do that. And the other side of it is if you do get someone injured early on in the season, there's a chance for players to come back in the season when because it's longer and there's a chance. And I just think there's far more that outweighs the positive. There's always going to be injuries. There's always going to be those issues. And then the other thing that I really like about this is the chance for to dig yourself out of a hole, and more teams will be competitive with that extra 2 games on the schedule down the stretch, and which is one of the things that I think people really like about the NFL is there's so many teams that are in it, and they're in it until late in the year. So I just think there's tremendous benefits with how it is. I think the game although it's, still very physical and all those things, I don't think it still takes the same, abuse on players that maybe the game did, back in the good old days. So I'm all for this. All right. The Pittsburgh Steelers. Now there's been some interesting discussion with Aaron Rodgers, and there's now some discussion they might take Ty Simpson on day one of the NFL draft, and it's kind of, I'm still trying to wrap. Oh man, I'm just still trying to wrap my arms around Ty Simpson and how everyone's just all of a sudden in love with this guy, and they just think he's going to be the next thing since sliced bread. Does it make sense for him to go to Pittsburgh, and does he fit there?
In Mike McCarthy's system and how reliant it is on the quarterback to make adjustments at the line or to read the defense and how to structure it, I think it's a little bit too much for Ty. He might need a season or two on the bench to learn the systems. I think the thing with Ty Simpson is, Scott, is that there's just really not another solid quarterback in this class besides Mendoza in the first round. So they're trying to build up the quarterback class to try to get it more, prestigious towards the draft. We're kind of so used to these draft classes coming out every year, going 3 or 4 guys are going to go in the first round with quarterback wise, and who's going to be the next, generational guy out of the group who can compete with 83. We're always trying to level it up to that 5 QB group that we always try to see in the first round. This year, there's only 2 guys. It's Ty Simpson and it's Fernando Mendoza. We know Mendoza's going 1 to the Raiders. Ty Simpson, will he be, a Jackson Dart where he falls later in the first round, or he could possibly be a second round pick? I think Ty has shown some some maturity and adaptability when he was at Alabama. Obviously, the last game of his career versus Indiana in the playoffs was not pretty. It was a complete stomp by the Hoosiers. But I think right now Pittsburgh's in a desperation move to look at them, is because Aaron Rodgers, we all know, is going to retire soon, and you only have Will Howard there. So you need someone else as a young prospect to come in and maybe he compete and show that he's possibly better than Will Howard, or that you bring in a young guy and Will Howard outplays him and you go, okay, well, at least we have something in one of these 2 guys. So the Steelers have to take a risk, either take a quarterback now or wait until next year's draft, which will be a little more healthier with quarterbacks in the first round. Ty Simpson to me is a solid prospect, but he's being hyped up because Drew Aller is not a top level prospect. Pavia is not a top level prospect. There's just not another top level name to compete with Mendoza, and they've all chose Ty Simpson because he's the closest thing.
So I look at it like this. Ty Simpson, I believe all these, I believe these things are coming from his people, right? And I think what it is you have, so if you look in the draft and you go, where is the need, right? And there's always a need for quarterbacks. So there are just some teams that go, we don't need a quarterback. And just, Kansas City Chiefs don't need it. The Buffalo Bills don't need a quarter. Cincinnati doesn't need a quarterback, right? And you almost can say that about your Bears. Hey, maybe Caleb Williams is getting close to being, we don't need a quarterback kind of thing. Regardless, but there are always teams go, man, we need a quarterback so bad. And there's always teams that need quarterbacks. So you look at the draft and you say, okay, Ty Simpson is in the 20s somewhere. And so we put out rumors, hey, the Steelers, man, it's heating up between Ty Simpson and the Steelers. He's going to come, oh, man. And so all these other teams that are kind of looking at Ty Simpson, right? And they're trying, because Dan Orlovsky said, oh, Ty Simpson's the best player in the draft and all this stuff. And he took a lot of heat for all that stuff. and so, but the point is all of a sudden now there's eyeballs on Ty Simpson and all these teams are going, did we miss something here? Like, what is all the hype? Like, or they go, shoot, man, we were going to kind of sneak this guy by. Right. And so Ty Simpson, so they're putting this buzz out there. He's going to go to the Steelers. And so everyone who drafts ahead of the Steelers go, if we don't take him before 21, we're going to miss him. And we feel like he's a first round guy. And so it starts to put pressure on these teams on, kind of getting a guy, or someone's needs to leapfrog the Steelers, or maybe the Steelers sit there and go, no, we love this guy, and we all of a sudden now know that there's people ahead of him that are trying to, we need to leapfrog, and you just look at the draft and the teams that are picking and go, do they need a quarterback this year? And I didn't look at the draft and where they are, but there's probably 2 or 3 teams ahead of Pittsburgh that need a quarterback. So someone is putting out this information to try to improve the draft stats, or even get Ty Simpson in the first round in general, because a lot of people go, no one had a first round. They can say all they want on this guy. This guy's only played 1 year, and I'm skeptical. I'll just tell you right now, and what I watched him play, I'm like, yeah, okay, he doesn't really blow me off the charts or anything with any of this, but someone's trying to manipulate or get people nervous about where they are in the draft, because you get late in the draft, or get late in the draft process, right? You're getting, and you've looked at these players, you've overlooked them, you've underlooked them, you've just scoured every possible thing. And now you get to the point where you go, oh man, I'm second guessing myself. It's like, I got to make a decision here. And we kind of had it worked out this way, but now maybe I'm not sure, because you overthink it so often. I think of Matt Millen, when he was the GM for the Detroit Lions, and 3 straight years he picked a wide receiver. And it's funny to hear the backstory with that. And he didn't want to do that. And he got in that situation, and for whatever reason, he did it 3 years in a row. And people are just scratching their head going, what, are you nuts? What, 3 wide receivers in 3 years is insane. Like, it's the stupidest thing anyone could ever possibly do. And Matt Millen's own son says, that's not my dad. Like, he doesn't do stuff like that. But it's this whole point of you analyze and overanalyze things so much that when you get under the pressure of actually making a decision, you just blow it. You just screw, and you see it every year. People are like, huh? They picked what? Okay. Before we close out, gosh, we've been going here. You know what? We'll take a break. We'll take a break, and we'll come back. We might talk about the Bears in their stadium, and I think we might have a story from me when the Down and Dirty returns here in just a few minutes.
For 75 years, Nalgene Outdoor has been your trusted companion, fueling adventures and helping protect the planet. We're committed to reducing waste, improving access to clean water, and providing simple, safe, and sustainable products for you and your family. No gimmicks, just durable, well-designed bottles built to last. Join us in our mission to amplify life, not complicate it. Because at Nalgene, what goes into our bottles matters as much as the adventures they fuel. Explore more at nalgene.com. That's NALGENE.com.
I know you're gonna love this Kodak Dot Plus printer. You guys just connect it to your smartphone, and then you're gonna use the Kodak Photo Print app. It's going to print you a 4x6 photo. I am just in awe. I love how these turned out. Also, the printer comes with a free cartridge of 10 photo sheets. I can assure you, you are going to love this printer as much as my family has. You guys have to check it out for yourself.
Welcome to Kitbag, the ultimate destination for football fans. Whether you're cheering for Arsenal, Chelsea, Manchester United, or any other top club, we've got your team's colors running through our veins. From official replica kits to custom player prints of your favorite stars like Ronaldo, Messi, and Kane, Kitbag is your one-stop shop for all things football. Powered by Fanatics, we deliver to over 180 countries, ensuring you get the gear you need fast. For true football passion, think Kitbag. Visit kitbag.com today. That's KITBAG.com. Kitbag.
Farmhound's approach is a little different than a traditional treat company. We get to work with local farmers who are putting everything they can into regenerative farming. From the soil to the animals to the ecosystem. They care about how animals are raised and how we treat the earth. It's not just product, but it's part of that story. It's connected to just a whole lot more.
Hey, sports fans, welcome back. Down and Dirty. Scott Mitchell here with my sidekick, Martin. He's riding shotgun the whole show today. We've unleashed the Kraken. Actually, we've unleashed the mammoth. Martin was actually a relic. He has been cryogenically reanimated. He lived among the mammoth 10,000 years ago, and he has come back from he was with what was it, Austin Powers, frozen for many years. And Martin has his mojo. He has more mojo than you can shake a very furry chested Mike Myers. All right, the Bears might have a stadium this year. Is that true or is that not? You're a Bears fan. Tell me about this. The Bears.
Yeah, so I've been keeping up on it. So the Chicago Bears are apparently going to meet with an NFL stadium committee towards the draft or after the draft, and it's coming out that they're seriously moving towards already pivoting a decision of either going to Arlington Heights or going to Indiana, Northwest Indiana. So who knows if they'll still stay as the Chicago Bears or not. But they are getting close to a decision. This is big for the Bears. I mean, Soldier Field's been their home since 1971. Before that, it was Wrigley Field.
Yeah.
And so, yeah, this is a big step for the Bears. Whether it's Arlington Heights or Northwest Indiana, let's just hopefully they just make a good decision. That's it. Make a decision. Period.
Well, it's and talk about having to get new uniforms. I mean, you got the C on the helmet. It's going to be NWI. They can put an NWI on that helmet right there. Northwest Indiana Bears, the Bears.
I'll still root for them. It won't steer my loyalty away at all.
See, they should just put a D and a B on the helmet. The Bears. That's what they should put. The Bears. Put that on the helmet. That'd be cool right there.
I think that, or just put the big bear alternate logo on the helmet itself. I think it should be that itself instead of like the C or the DB. I like that stuff. I like that idea. But I think the Bear itself would be a nice one.
Just put all the little NWIB and then add the LBGTQ RX all just put them all.
NWIB sounds like a D3 or an NAIA school,
totally.
like in the middle of nowhere.
Look, when you're a directional program, man, you're fodder. You're that practice game for Alabama. Yeah, in fact, the NWIB Bears will play Alabama late in November when they
oh Lord
schedule a cupcake. Yeah,
those games before Thanksgiving with the SEC are so funny. It's like Alabama versus Southern Alabama. You're like, where do they come from?
Yeah, I always thought all of Alabama was Southern Alabama. Like it's like, how do you get a Southern Alabama and it's all Southern. Like there's no,
it's all backwards.
Yeah, like North Alabama. All right. Apparently, we're going to tell a story today. Is that
yeah? I wanted to see. Yeah, I wanted to see if you could put a 10-minute story together real quick. What was that first practice like with the Detroit Lions? You show up, sign the contract that summer. You're ready to jump in and get ready in July. What was the first practice like?
Well, the first practice is it's always. There's always a lot of weird things. I'm really glad you have this picture right here because if you look at our practice shorts, that's the first thing I noticed. Like we had cool practice gear when I was with the Miami Dolphins, right? And so the first thing, it's like, what, we're wearing like these 7th grade gym shorts, or it looks like we're from the prison guard team, these just horrible things. And so the other thing that stood out to me, and it's weird, I don't know why you make a big deal about this as a player, but you do. But I actually look good in that. I like the intensity in my eyes and the whole thing right there. But the other thing that was weird in Detroit when I first got there was the weather, right? So I was used to humid, steamy South Florida. And Michigan, the weather, there is humidity in the summer. It does get warm. We had one time where we were It was 90 plus degrees one day, hottest day they'd ever had on record in Michigan. 90, it was those 90 days where 90 degrees and 90% humidity, and it's just stifling. It's just oppressive heat. And the next day it was like 53. Literally the next day. And so it was the greatest temperature drop they'd ever seen, and it was the coldest day on record in summer, middle of August. So a very, very strange thing. But the biggest thing that I think jumped out at me, and this was a really hard adjustment going to Detroit, was the different styles of the coaches. And the coach kind of runs the tempo of how everything goes. So I go from Don Shula, who, like, I mean, you have to walk on the field for warm up stretching, like with this massive amount of intensity. Like it was like the practice field was a thing, and it was intense, and there was a certain like tempo and a rush to everything. And then I go to Detroit, and our coach is nowhere to be found. Like Wayne Fonts was in a golf cart at the end of the practice field and smoking a cigar, and it was weird. Like it's like, what? Okay, first I've got this prison garb on, these short, like, just look at those shorts. It's just they're horrendous. Like, it's just like you need cool stuff, and we just didn't have cool stuff. And so and then you have Shula, who's just barking and all the time, just and he's right in the thick of everything, and you just feel like Shula's just always watching you. And so then you go to Wayne, who didn't ever say a word, and in fact practice to be over in from the golf cart, he just said, take it in, and it's just a very different vibe. But it was one that you had to really watch out for, because don't be fooled because the coach sits in the golf cart at the end of the practice field smoking a cigar. And so his style, although different, was one of, if you screw up, if you're not doing your job, you're out of there. And if you're a young player, you can kind of interpret the style as soft, as like, oh man, I can get away with everything. And so, but there still had, and so you had to manufacture your intensity for practice internally. It didn't come from there wasn't, it wasn't from the coach, and you still needed it. And so for me, I'd come from a place of there's just a certain way, there's a certain tempo to practice. And that was the biggest adjustment for me was, of course, the uniform, the colors were different, everything was different, the weather was different, the coach was different. And it was a serious adjustment. And here's another thing that's the climate, the practice fields are different. So in Miami, the practice was Bermuda grass, right? And so it's really tight, and it's really it's plush, and it's almost like you're practicing on this beautiful carpet like surface. And like our practice fields in Miami were just, they were just pristine. And you go to Detroit, Michigan, and it's that thicker Kentucky bluegrass, where, and so even the texture of the grass was like everything was just completely different. On top of, we practiced at the Silverdome. So when I was with the Miami Dolphins, we had our own practice facility, and it was away from the stadium. And so when you went to the stadium, it was like, okay, this is game day. And like my locker all the time was my locker, so game day locker was the same as my everyday locker. And that's not necessarily a good thing, because, you accumulate a lot of stuff in your locker, a lot of old shoes, a lot of, weird things in your locker. And so when you but when you have a game day, the locker just has your stuff in it for the game, and it just had this feel of like, okay, it's game day, and there was just a different setting. And again, it's just one of those differences, it's not right or wrong, but it's just one of those things that you gotta, you gotta really kind of get your mind right. Okay, this isn't practice day. This isn't, and I didn't like it. Honestly, I really liked the separation. I liked going to the stadium for the games and practicing. every day at a different place. But you get used to it, and you deal with it, and that's really the bottom line with all of it. Is it's like, you got to show up, you got to do your work, you got to prepare yourself, you got to take practice and utilize it in a way to get better. And and we had great practices. We got great teammates, guys who understood how to practice. But the biggest difference was the coaching style, and just not being deceived by one coach in your face and the other guy sitting there smoking a cigar. All right, we'll take a break. We come back. We have so much more on the show. I'm not even going to tell you what it is. You got to tune in, but you want to tune in because it'll be compelling. This is the Down and Dirty. We'll be back in a minute.
Circulon C1 Series clad with scratch defense non-stick. The luxury and confidence of premium clad stainless steel meets scratch defense extreme non-stick that won't scratch ever. With an ultra-thick aluminum core for high-performance heating. Maximize cooking, minimize cleaning. Discover the unmatched durability and elegance of clad stainless steel. Scratch-free, worry-free, forever.
Protect your online privacy with NordVPN. Browse securely, access content from anywhere, and keep your data safe with military-grade encryption. Whether at home or on the go, NordVPN ensures your digital freedom. Stay secure. Download NordVPN today at nordvpn.com. That's NORDVPN.com. The grinder mentality that Randy and Brent Habert built into 44 Pro runs deep within our team. Every member shares a passion for the craft, the game, and most importantly, the player. When you step onto the field with a 44 Pro custom glove, you'll feel the difference. It's not just a glove, it's a 44 Pro. Crafted with dedication, made for performance, and built to last. Get your custom glove today at 44pro.com and experience the 44 Pro difference. That's 44pro.com, 44 Pro.
At Mapiful, we believe in celebrating your journey, past, present, and future. Our unique personalized products are designed to boost your confidence, elevate creativity, and honor what matters most. From custom home decor to meaningful gifts, we help you cherish the memories that make you who you are. Visit mapiful.com and start celebrating your story today.
Hey, sports fans, welcome back. Down and Dirty. Scott Mitchell here. Of course, I got my sidekick, Martin, along with me today. Martin is, of course, cryogenically reanimated after thousands of years, locked up. So we have, what are you? You're the 10,000-year-old man, and you've been reintroduced to the world. It was a lot different back in those days. How are you handling the world that you're living in today? We have electricity, we have indoor plumbing. You don't have to cook over a fire anymore. So how you handling things, Martin?
I will say this: electricity and power and controlled AC machines and heat machines and showers and stuff like that, a kitchen inside the house are very nice. I'm not gonna lie about that. Cooking your food over a fire is very enjoyable. I do not care how old I am or how barbaric that does look. Cooking over a fire is a very fun experience. And I miss bartering animals for food because this money thing is just so backwards. I gotta go to a place and work 50 hours for a person that kind of likes me but doesn't really kind of like me, but just likes the fact that I work and make sure that he makes money. So what happened to the days where I can just go hunt and get a rabbit and I could trade it for a couple squirrels? Like, that was an easier world.
So getting back to modern times and bartering, I think it'd be fun to barter.
I think it would be too.
It's like take an object and go, how far can I go with this object? Like,
exactly.
what can I actually, end
then,
up with?
You wouldn't have hoarders because they would have to trade what they had been storing for a long time and have to move on.
Hoarders would be the most wealthy people in the world. because
There you
they always
go.
got stuff to go.
Yeah,
So
they always got something.
we should all get
Yeah,
into hoarding. Let me just
yeah,
tell you
let's
one
do it.
thing. Your phone, your life will cease to exist if you don't have a phone. So
Uh,
phones are kind
this
of
is true.
which is
This is
really
very true.
it's scary. It's like, man, if you want to bring down our society, just find a way to eliminate the phones. Don't blow up our nuclear capabilities, blow up our cell towers, and then we'll see how it works. Now, Elon Musk figured this all out. He says, Starlink. Yeah, it can't blow
Yep.
up Starlink. Uh, there you go. All right, you had this idea. Please tell the folks out in the world of kind of where the college football season should go and how they should do it. Let's have a conversation.
Yeah, I heard this argument on TikTok. I watch a lot of these sports TikTok lives just because I love learning and love listening to other people's perspectives. And so there was a TikTok live on this is that maybe the college football should move their schedule up a little bit. Obviously, Scott, this whole conversation with the NIL and transfer portal throws the whole entire academic and athletic schedule that we were so used to, right, beforehand. Now it's completely thrown it into whack. You have guys, as soon as the season ends and you're either slightly bowl eligible or not bowl eligible, 400 million players jump right inside the portal, right? And demand coaches to scout them immediately so that they could sign their new contracts and whatnot. So this conversation went to week 0 should be just week 1 of the entire college football schedule. Obviously, week 0 with all those other games that are not the big time premier games to start the season. That should just be week 1. The conference championship game should be Thanksgiving weekend, not the weekend afterwards or a weekend after that. And the national championship game should just be on January 1st. And then you have the portal opens on January 2nd, and then everybody can do their quick recruiting. And obviously, you're not back into school until January 8th or 9th, right, or that 10th. So it gives you that time to get your papers together, B, your idea where you're going to go, C, to get your room and board, get your classes scheduled, and yada, 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 get set up. And this gives a chance for coaches to not have to re-recruit in the middle of preparing for college football games. Like you got to recruit in December and then recruit in January, and to squeeze all of that in and to prepare for college football games, it's just too much for college football coaches. And forget about the players. This is starting to get a little bit too much for the programs and for the coaches and for recruiters because all the amount of money you have to spend on regrouping and re-racking your roster with other guys besides high school kids. So I think college football should move everything up to week 0, start there, 2 non-conference games, conference schedule games, Thanksgiving weekend, national championship game January 1st, call it a day.
So clearly, whatever the schedule looks like moving forward in college football, it needs to be revamped. I don't think there's any question about changing it. I think the question maybe everyone should ask themselves, okay, we need to revamp, because look at the NFL and you look at how they schedule out their year. We even talked about this yesterday. Do you want to move up the draft into March? And I was like, no, because it really allows them to get a proper evaluation, proper preparation for all of these different things that are so critical to moving forward. You know, free agency is critical. The draft is critical. All these things are significant. The transfer portal is now, free agency. It's now that critical part of college football. So I think you have to ask yourself, to start with, what do we want? And one of the questions is, do we want to continue to have tradition? The NFL has asked itself that question, and there aren't a lot of traditions in the NFL, but like Thanksgiving with the Cowboys and the Lions, that's kind of one of those traditions. And the NFL said, yes, but no. So we want that tradition, but we'd like to enhance it. And we'd like to have other teams have an opportunity to participate in those Thanksgiving games, because they even though they are a tradition, they're also an advantage to some of these teams. And they kind of figured that out. And anyway, so ask yourself the question, what do you want? Do you want, and to me, the traditions in college football, of course, rivalries is a big part of the tradition. And a lot of those rivalry games come over that Thanksgiving weekend. And so maybe, and I don't think people care as much, maybe the date as they do. I think they care that the date should be at the end of the year. It seems like everyone wants to have that rivalry at the end of the year. I know the Utah BYU rivalry isn't, and I think everyone would like that. So definitely, rivalries is part of that tradition. So you got to figure out how to fit that into an updated schedule. Because I'm a 1,000% staunch supporter and believer that this college football schedule needs to be revamped. Now, another tradition is bowls, right? But bowl games now have been like, they're a joke, like players opting out of them. It's like, do we really want to go? Do we not want to go? And then the one bowl games that really matter and people care about are the New Year's Day games and the New Year Days 6 games, right? So this schedule here, of course, the Rose Bowl, which is just a tremendous game, and having gone to and been a part of Rose Bowls, you just go, this is cool. And you don't, so that's a tradition to me that it'd be really hard to get rid of. But I love the idea of having it as part of the playoffs, and I love the playoffs in college football. And so figuring out how to at least revitalize and reinvigorate some of the bowl games and incorporate that into the whole process, I think is, to me, something that you have to, that's a tradition I would want to keep. And I love the idea of moving everything up. Dan Lanning made this same suggestion, and how you could, and we actually have done this on the show before. We've mapped out a similar type of scenario where you can kind of keep the traditions that matter. Maybe some of the bowl games just go away, or maybe some of them are repurposed and they become a playoff game, and then that gets really exciting to everything that's going on. But I even like the beginning of the season because I think you could move this up tremendously if you just had one non-conference game or two, and you played everyone. And I know they got to have, like teams shouldn't. I guess you got to keep it at 3, but I don't know, just have everyone play the same number of games in their schedule is really the only thing that matters to me. So this whole discussion and joke about directional schools in late in the season is kind of one of those things that needs to go away with. Now you're going to get pushback, and you're going to get pushback because the way college football has been run, and this is the big rub in all of this to me, the way it's been run is that the great teams try to manipulate their schedule to their advantage. They don't really want to play a tough schedule. They don't want to play 9 conference games. They don't want to play all the tough teams in their conference. They want to have a couple of tough games a year. They want to go undefeated. Like and so you go, look, we want to go undefeated. We have an easy schedule. That's just how we do it. We schedule most of our games at home, where, and so these teams that constantly win are teams that I wouldn't say have the toughest schedule in the conference or in the country, but they have the schedule that gets them into the playoffs and win it because they played, because they were undefeated. So the whole idea where college football is changing, and to me, that's a tradition, or that's a gaming the system that so many of these schools and conferences want to do, that so they can maintain their control and their power over all of this. It's about getting to the championship game. It's not about, oh man, we want to play the toughest schedule. We want to prove that we're the best. They don't care about that. They care about what matters. What keeps us on top is to win championships. And you don't win championships by going play all the tough schools in your conference, because they know that they're going to lose. Now, what they did is they said, "Oh, that's fine. We'll put more teams in the playoffs," and it kind of helps us. Like, okay, fine, we'll play, more, tougher teams in our conference now, but they're still going to go. Alabama with 4 losses still needs to be in the playoffs. That's the argument that they're going to make for it. So I'm a big proponent of changing all of this. I love it, and quite frankly, I think when you talk about interest, you don't want to be competing against the NFL when the NFL gets late in the year. It starts getting into its playoffs. The national championship game right at the beginning of the new year is really good. It's that whole dead part of December really needs to be utilized in playoff scenarios and games, and that will just be much more interesting. So I'm a big fan. I just think you gotta really ask yourself what matters moving forward as far as traditional games. There you have it. Anything else to add, subtract, minus, multiply?
I think I'm just waiting for the email that says that I now have the power to be the president of the NCAA, because I think I can make all these college sports so much better. I can't wait for that email. Yeah. I can't wait.
It's like, here's the thing, okay? And the power of college sports, college football, the power in our country. Like it's very similar. Politics and college football are kind of the same thing. And there's the same in this regard. Okay. Everyone hates our president, right? Well, everyone who is corrupt, who is a part of the system, hates the president of the United States right now. They hate him because they've had their little system in place. And he's a guy, he's like, I don't care. I'm not a politician. I'm just here. I'm just trying to do what I think is best for the country. Right. So everyone like this, so they're trying to rip apart the president, trying to at every turn, like, because if he succeeds, then it exposes. So everyone is like, who opposes the president is like, because I got my hand in the cookie jar, right? I got my little program over here, and I'm making a lot of money, right? And so, and I think it's the same thing with college football. You talk about trying to change it. It's like, the SEC and the Big Ten, they go, we don't want to change it. We don't want to do what makes sense. We don't want to do the right thing because we got our hand in the cookie jar and we got a hold of a lot of really good cookies and we ain't letting go. And it's not about what's right for the sport. It's not about the right thing. It's about we're making freaking a lot of money and we got a monopoly on this deal. And so don't come in here and try to do the right thing. Don't come in here and try to do something that makes sense. We're not interested in that. We're interested in maintaining power and maintaining our control over this thing. And so good luck, Chuck, on that one. And we'll see where it ends up. All right, we'll take a break. Hey, wait a minute. Do we have another game coming up?
Yes, we do.
And this has been Gold Star Week. We've had some great games. Mm-hmm. So we got a fun one. You'll want to stick around for that when the Down and Dirty returns.
You probably get unwanted emails almost every single day.
Overwhelmed by your inbox? Clean Email is here to help. Organize, clean, and manage your emails with powerful automation tools. Say goodbye to spam and clutter and enjoy a stress-free inbox. Try Clean Email today at cleanemail.com. That's CLEAN email.com. Get paid faster with Bill, the easiest way to send, receive, and manage your payments. No more delays, no more hassle. Whether you're a freelancer or a business, Bill makes payments seamless and secure, simple, fast, and reliable. Sign up today at Bill.com.
When you learn a language with Babbel, you start a journey that takes you further and further. Anytime and anywhere you wish. It's easy and fun. Broadens your horizons and keeps your brain fit. A journey into new thoughts, new cultures, new adventures. So what are you waiting for? Start your journey with Babbel now. Go to babbel.com or download the app.
Have you ever wondered why so many pet parents are choosing to have virtual vet appointments? Online veterinary care is making it easier than ever to get expert advice for your pet. Our professionals are not only experts in managing urgent concerns, but also in providing top-notch preventative health care. We're proud to connect pet owners to a vast network of licensed veterinary professionals, ready to address any immediate concerns and expand access to pet care. Book your first appointment today.
Hey, sports fans, welcome back down to Dirty. Scott Mitchell here, of course, joining me today. The whole day, I've unleashed the Kraken, and Martin has been on with me all day. We have to take long breaks, and he's not used to this, so we take short breaks. I learned something new. Zach, of course, pushing all the buttons, doing all the fun stuff behind the scenes, is Zachary, but he goes by Zach. So that's new news that we've learned here on the show today. Okay, we've got a fun show, or not a fun show, but we've got a fun game to play. Martin always comes up with these crazy games, and they are crazy. We're loaded with gold stars. We want to give out gold stars. You can play at home. So all you got to do is just participate. We don't know if you win or lose. It's an on your honor system. And, but you can win a gold star, and you can be a part of the lure and history and greatness that is the Down and Dirty. All right, tell us what the game is today, Martin.
All right, we played this the other day with Herman Moore, and you guys had fun with this cut one from NFL history. Yeah. I got this again because I steal many of my ideas from TikTok. So we're gonna cut one from NFL history today, and I made this a bit harder. Okay, I made this as hard as I could. Okay, so the AI difficulty has been kicked up a notch. Okay, I'll let you guys walk through the part the last time. You're not getting through this one easily this time. Okay, so I built it up enough. So.
All right.
We're going to start with quarterbacks, okay?
Okay.
We're going to stick with offense, and then we're going to have a fun two last topics at the very end. But we're going to start with quarterbacks, okay?
Okay. All right.
All right, Sky. You got to cut one, okay? All these guys are very worthy of not being cut, okay? So we'll see where your loyalty is at, all right?
Let's see what we got.
Are you going to cut either A, Tom Brady, B, Peyton Manning, C, Drew Brees, or D, Joe Montana? Who are you deleting from NFL history?
Oh boy. Okay, so well, Tom Brady, you're not gonna get rid of, and Joe Montana, you're not gonna get rid of. It ain't happening.
Okay.
Now, Peyton Manning, that ain't happening. Peyton Manning's determined to maintain his presence in NFL. Like he's all over the place. Unfortunately, and I don't want to do this. But we're gonna have to get rid of Drew Brees.
Oh, that's sad.
But that, I mean, I don't know if that was as hard as the other. Well, the other one was actually. I like this one though. Yeah. So sorry, Drew. You're gonna have to go. But yeah.
All right.
If we just went off of the number,
because I know what you're thinking. You're going off of MVPs and the Super Bowls, and you can't cut a 7-timer and you can't cut a 4-timer.
Yeah,
it makes total sense. Peyton Manning with the second most
Drew Brees.
Pro Bowl. Yeah, it makes sense. Drew Brees. All right,
he's out.
This will test your serious.
This one's impossible.
This one is impossible, but I made it that way.
All right.
All right. Who are you deleting from this one? Walter Payton, Barry Sanders, Emmitt Smith, or Jim Brown?
Oh, okay. So I'll just tell you right now, Walter Payton is definitely on the list. No question asked. Barry Sanders was a former teammate, and Barry Sanders was incredible as far as his, how he ran. Like it was one of those things almost like Babe Ruth, where so many people wanted to watch Babe Ruth because he was going to hit a home run. Like Babe Ruth was going to hit a home run in a time when hitting a home run was really quite something. Dead ball, big cavernous stadiums, but he was just this massive presence. Now, the one thing that also happened with Babe Ruth is he struck out a lot. It was feast or famine, home run or bust. And that's kind of how it was with Barry. It was like Barry had a lot of negative yard runs, but he'd have one or two like 80-yard runs in a game in the NFL, which is just highly unusual. But that's kind of the player he was. And so from a scheme part, that was challenging. It was challenging with Barry because you want to stay ahead of the sticks. Like you need positive yards on first down. If you get second and long all the time and third and long all the time, it's hard to really be consistent offensively. And people don't want to hear this, right? They just want to hear how great and marvelous Barry Sanders. And they think if they're hearing it from someone like me, it's like, well, I'm complaining. And I'm like, I'm not. I'm just telling you that any person who, talk to any offensive coordinator, any coach in the NFL, and they're going to tell you we've got to have production consistently on first and second down if we're gonna be any kind of an offense. So it's a real knock on someone like Barry, even though the runs are phenomenal. Now, Emmitt Smith is that opposite. Emmitt Smith not necessarily going to get the crazy Barry Sanders run, but you're going to get a real consistent, tough, steady performance out of a player like Emmitt Smith. And Jim Brown is just Jim Brown. Jim Brown is one of those iconic players in the NFL who, he was just phenomenal in his era. He'd be phenomenal in any era. And so if you're going, okay, Walter Payton, Jim Brown, they're on the list. They're just on the list. Now, Emmitt Smith and Barry Sanders, that's a tough one. And they're both kind of from the same era. And so you just have to ask yourself, what do you want? Do you want these flashy runs, or do you want this guy that's going to consistently give you, a steady performance through the year? And as a player, I want to pick the steady guy. So I'm actually going to take Barry Sanders off this list.
Ooh,
ouch.
Okay. Ouch. That is an ouch. Okay. Wow.
I mean, how, a lot of people, might go with Emmett, or they might go with Jim Brown, or they might just the recency stuff on this. But if I'm looking at it from a purely strategic, if I have to have a running back in my backfield that I can consistently count on to give me positive yards, that like Barry's not the guy. Mm-hmm. Now, if you want entertainment, of all four of these guys, there's not a better runner than Barry Sanders. Like a pure runner, not a better runner. No.
I agree with that. All right, let's move on to wide receivers here. This one might be a little easy, but I think it's still
I'm gonna get Eminem mad at me for saying that, what I just said. I'm probably gonna get all the Detroit Lions fans mad at me for what I just said.
Man, they're all gonna
if
be
you
all
listen
over
to what I said, it's a very well thought out. Listen to what I said. Don't overreact emotionally. Okay, let's move
controversial. All right, let's move on here. Wide receivers: Randy Moss, Terrell Owens, Jerry Rice, Lynn Swann. Which one is being deleted?
This is actually not hard for me. This one's easy. So I love Randy Moss. Like, I'd start a team with Randy Moss. I'd start a team with Jerry Rice. Like, it's not even a question about it. T.O. was a tremendous talent. He really was. He was just a phenomenal talent. Unbelievable what he could do. But the drama, there's just whatever. It didn't matter where he went. And people might say that Randy Moss really wasn't that way. He really wasn't. No. T.O. was a drama. And I would say Randy Moss, Terrell Owens, Terrell Owens.
Yeah, Terrell Owens. Yeah.
Terrell Owens. I always get confused. And anyways, and Jerry Rice, like you go athletic wise, you go, wow, those maybe better than Lynn Swann. But Lynn Swann, a lot of people think Lynn Swann shouldn't be in the Hall of Fame, shouldn't be all this, shouldn't be all that. But whenever there was a great moment to be had, Lynn Swann was right there with it. And he consistently over time played in a tough era, and was a diminutive guy, but was pretty tough. I can't take away the big momentness of Lynn Swann. I mean, Jerry Rice, Lynn Swann, only two guys on your list there that I'm trying to think. I don't think Randy Moss won a Super Bowl.
No, he did not.
He was on that team that should have with the Patriots, but they didn't.
Nope.
T.O.'s getting booted.
Oh, wow. Okay.
I think Randy Moss, Jerry Rice, and Lynn Swann. A lot of people probably would pick Swann, but I'm just no.
All right. T.O. is off the list. I don't
That's
totally
surprising.
disagree with that. That's a good one,
didn't
right
Well,
there. I did, but I'm not totally shocked. I like that one as well.
I surprised you.
I like that. Let's go to tight ends here. We got Kellen Winslow, Shannon Sharp, Ozzie Newsome, or Jason Witten. Which one are you deleting?
Oh, man.
I know I came up with a good one for the tight ends.
Yeah, Ozzie Newsome is a very, very underrated tight end. Played in an era where tight ends were different. I'm going to do this quick. Maybe I shouldn't do it quick. Kellen Winslow was Kellen Winslow was a modern day tight end back in the 70s and early 80s. Like he was a dude. Shannon Sharp. Here's the problem with Shannon Sharp. I love him as a player. Like he was a game player, but I can't listen to him. You know, I just can't. I'm sorry. It's just hard for me. But boy, did I love. You know, I'd take Shannon Sharp as a player all day long. Ozzy. You know, Jason Witten is kind of in an era of overrated Cowboys. You know, the Dallas Cowboys have been the most overrated team in the last 30 years. And Jason Witten is a phenomenal player, but I'm taking all three of those guys over Jason Witten.
Mhm.
I just am. I don't know why I am, but I am. So there you have it.
I'm in agreement with you. I would delete Jason Witten. All right, here's the hardest one. You think it's not that hard, but it's going to be the hardest one. All right, you're gonna have to tighten up that collar of yours. All right, NFL coaches:
Mhm.
Don Shula, John Madden, Bill Walsh, or Tom Landry. Which one is being deleted?
Mm.
Yeah, I know this is the hardest one.
So I'm gonna get hypercritical of all of these coaches,
Okay.
probably except for one. Nah, maybe.
Okay.
No, I get it. So Shula, who I played for,
Yes.
didn't win a Super Bowl past 1972, and actually lost some of the biggest Super Bowls. Lost to I believe he lost to the Cowboys, lost to the Jets. He was the coach when the Jets, and that was a monumental shift in the NFL because it legitimized the AFC when they merged, and Shula was on the losing end of that one. You know, there was a while when Shula wasn't winning Super Bowls and didn't win one, you know, past 72. Now won more games than anyone. You know, you could almost say maybe he's the Barry Sanders of head coaches, you know, just a lot of big runs, but a lot of big outs. You know, it's possible, but he was clearly a great football coach. There's no question. Had an indelible mark on the NFL for sure. John Madden was, I think a lot of people, what they don't realize about John Madden, he's underrated as a coach. Like his winning percentages and what he did as a coach, because his coaching career wasn't really that long in the NFL, and he's easily by far the greatest commentator the NFL's ever had. I mean, it's just not even no one's even close to Madden in that realm. He was phenomenal, just incredible. Bill Walsh. You know, here's the thing, like everything, Bill Walsh tried to always create drama, right? And so he's trying to create stuff that wasn't there. And here's where Bill Walsh lost me. And people kind of talked him off the ledge. He wanted to create this controversy between Steve Young and Joe Montana. And so there was a season, and I think it was the last one, the Super Bowl he won, where they were sharing time between Joe Montana and Steve Young. And everyone kind of had to say to Bill, knock it off. Joe Montana is our guy. What are you doing? What are you thinking? What are you know, what's wrong with you kind of thing. And so that was obvious. It was obvious to everyone and myself included. And so it's like, you know, with all the greatness he was, and really probably of all these coaches on here, Bill Walsh is probably the best one as far as winning Super Bowls and winning Super Bowl percentages and all of those things. He was a genius. Tom Landry is a little bit like Shula, you know. To me, this list comes down because I can't get rid of the coach that drafted me. Like, that's just not going to happen. But the thing, so it's like, and John Madden is so iconic, and so is Tom Landry, you know. And you look at him from a coaching perspective, and you could argue all of them are great as far as you know, their coaching and what they did in their career. But it feels like to me, as far as a coach, that Madden was greater as a commentator, or at least more known as a commentator than he was as a coach. I think a lot of people go, oh, John Madden coached? John Madden actually won a Super Bowl, you know, like it's just one of those things. And he was a very good coach. He really was. But so I'm just doing this just as a coach, right? I'm going to say John Madden as a coach has to go. Just put him in the booth. We all won in that situation. So, as a commentator in the booth, no, like he's king of the hill. But as a coach, yeah, we could probably do without him.
All right. I don't. I go Tom Landry. Landry's the one I would cut.
Yeah, I know. It's a
John Madden. Yeah, John. I can understand. All right, last one.
It was between those two.
I don't disagree with that decision at all. Let's go to this one here. Let's have fun with this one. NFL teams.
This is a tough one, by the way.
Miami Dolphins,
wow.
LA Rams,
wow.
New York Giants,
wow.
or Denver Broncos.
Wow. Okay, the Dolphins have been horrible for like forever, but you could also say so have the Giants.
Yes,
right.
Yes,
and the Rams are kind of if the Rams hadn't had a Super Bowl win and Matthew Stafford in the last couple of years, it easily would have been the Rams for me. But the recency of the Rams, it's like, the New York Giants are just one of those programs. If it's today and where these teams are, the Miami Dolphins would go. But again, you're putting me in a tough situation because it's a team that drafted me.
Yeah, you got to include the entire
history. Because if I erase the Dolphins, I erase myself. So I can't do that. The Giants are just a team that they are the NFL. They're in the biggest market. No matter whether they're good or bad or whatever, they're NFL football. The Broncos have had a great history and I really like. I'm going to go with the Rams. I think I'm going to get rid of the Rams.
Okay.
All right. I know that you didn't like that pick. I think you would have gotten rid of the Miami Dolphins, wouldn't you?
No, I wouldn't. It wouldn't have been Miami. It would have been. I could live without the Giants. Denver, I think, is one of those teams that you just can't delete because they're one of the best West Coast teams of all time. Rams, the Great Show on Turf is enough for me to make sure that they stay on this list. And the Fearsome Foursome, when they had that defensive line. Miami, you can't get rid of a team that has an undefeated team in NFL history. You just can't do that. So the Giants, I think the NFL is better without that Eli Manning two-time quick run there. I think the NFL world can live without it.
Feel some Eli Manning envy.
Yeah, I mean
that of all the questions you asked today, that's the toughest one though.
That is the toughest one. I hope it was the toughest one. I wanted to see if I could truly put you through the ringer there. Okay.
Yeah, that's a tough one because I just I mean I look at they had the Fearsome Foursome with the Rams. They've kind of had a history. The Rams never won a Super Bowl until recently. They keep jockeying between, are they in St. Louis? Are they in Los Angeles? All these. They've kind of been a team that's never really had this rabid, passionate fan base forever. They're like, I don't know. And so that to me, kind of what the Rams have been. They have had some recent success. They have won a couple of Super Bowls and all that stuff. But I just, I'm sticking with the Rams. Okay, fun game. That's a great game. It's fun discussion to talk about all that stuff. We'll take a break and we'll come back. Should he retire? I didn't know he wasn't retired. Is LeBron still playing? Okay, we'll find out that. Should he go? Should he stay? When the Down and Dirty returns right after these wonderful and important messages.
Tervis is all about staying hydrated with style and durability. You can trust Tervis tumblers to keep your drinks the perfect temperature, hot or cold, for hours. From the classic insulated tumblers to sleek stainless steel water bottles, each product is built to last and comes in endless designs to match your personality. Stay refreshed and express yourself with Tervis. Visit tervis.com today and find your perfect tumbler.
Hey, welcome back, sports fans. Scott Mitchell here, down and dirty. I'm with my sidekick Martin today. It's Friday. We're having a fun Friday, letting our hair down, having a good day. It's been a great show. But we're gonna round it off with a little LeBron. Of course, they are in the playoffs, and are they going to do okay in the playoffs? Is what's his name back? Is Luka back?
Luka
is Ditka coaching? Is Ditka coaching?
I haven't heard anything about Luka coming back. However, they will be all right. They're going to be in that 4 or 5 seed matchup, so they'll have OKC on the other end of it. But maybe they win a first round. Who knows?
Yeah, they're going to get bounced. Okay, so the question, and there's actually some real discussion about LeBron and his continuing to play basketball. There was a lot of, well, he wanted to just stick around so he could play with his, with his son and be around for that kind of thing. And that's kind of here. It's kind of been weird. I think it's a little bit forced personally. And, is his son really an NBA talent? And, but, clearly LeBron moves the needle all the time. I love there's certain players that no matter what's going on, whether they're playing great, they're in the real discussion of things, they're always the story. If you always watch you just go to any sports feed, tap the NBA, there's always going to be a story about LeBron. There's always going to be a story about Tiger, and Tiger hasn't been relevant in golf in a long time. And I'm not saying LeBron he's not relevant, but I just don't see the Lakers winning a championship anytime soon. Now, Luka being healthy, maybe it's a different story, and maybe he comes back, because having a legit superstar and then having another legit superstar, you can't count it out. You can't, especially in the playoffs where a lot can happen. But it feels like, is this something that are we getting worn out by this? Like is Brett Favre retiring? Is he still playing? It just got really old. Is that the situation with LeBron, or does LeBron want to have that farewell tour where he has that last season, he goes to these places and they do all that stuff? What's really going on with LeBron and the possibility of him retiring?
I think it's both, Scott. I think it's a little bit of the, Brett Favre not leaving, not taking the gracious, like, listen, we have the young gun. We know you're the old, strong, sturdy veteran, but it's time to let the youth thrive and run the team. I think that is what the plan is with Luka. Who knows what's going to happen, all that. But the point is, I think also LeBron has allowed this to get out of hand and continue because one, he was trying to play with his son and accomplish that. Two, he wanted the scoring record. He wants the assist record. He wants the rebound record. He wants to be number one in those categories. Longevity matters to LeBron James, and I believe that's his true last standhold of credibility he has left in the NBA, because obviously he's not going to win another championship at this point in his career. He might if he wanted to join a super team or just go to that type of route and win one as a swan song type way, like Peyton Manning did with a team that was around him that was built ready to win. Maybe that's a possibility for him, but I think at this point in his career, LeBron James has accomplished everything he should. Unless he wants to wait for Bryce, who's up and coming. I think he's going back to college, so he'd be a junior in Arizona. So that might be another 3 years for LeBron. Unless he wants to do that, that's up to him. But at this point, I think LeBron's got to look at retirement. Like I said, he's accomplished so much in this league. 4-time MVP, 4-time champ. All 4 of those, he's the finals MVP. He's accomplished what he needs, and I think it's time to let Luka run LA. I just don't see the issue with it at this point.
With LeBron, in my opinion, he's a guy that everything is very well thought out. It's very orchestrated. You think about the announcements he's made throughout his career about staying and going and doing all these different things. There's certainly something behind all of it. I think if he's a guy that wants to retire, I think he wants it to be a production. I think he wants it to be something where he can go and make his last farewell. And I don't know that that's a bad thing, because there's it's tremendous respect for the greatness that he has been as a player. And I think that, being able to say the proper goodbye to people is one of those things. But I think the other side of it too, the Lakers are a legitimate playoff team. And if they get the pieces together playing, they went 15-2 in March, and they really looked good when they had Austin Reeves and they had Luka and they had LeBron playing. And that's good. I mean, I think that's really good. The question is how good really is LeBron over a sustained period of time in these tough series as you go through the playoffs? Can he continue to handle that load? You do have more time off between games than the regular season. So, you probably physically could get through all of it. I'm sure between those two things, wanting to go out the right way and the pageantry and the respect side of it, I just think LeBron would say, okay, this is my last year. I don't see him just quietly fading away. I don't think it's in his DNA. But I also think, hey, this is a team that maybe we're not there this year because of the injuries that have happened. Who knows? We'll see. Maybe they make if they kind of go for a nice run in the playoffs and they go, you know what? I still have gas in the tank, meaning LeBron. Get these guys healthy, and we have the capability of bringing in a piece or two. We could be a serious contender in a year to win a championship. So, with all the buzz and the talk that this might be a possibility, I just don't see LeBron retiring after this season at all. And I don't know that I necessarily see him sticking around for the next iteration of the family to come into the program, but who knows? We'll see. But LeBron is kind of his own guy, and he's going to do his own thing, and we're all going to hear about it. So there you have it.
Exactly.
All right, that's been the Down and Dirty today. Thank you, folks, for tuning in. We hope you have a wonderful weekend. Enjoy it. Be responsible. Make sure you show up on Monday because we can't wait to see you. Can't wait to talk to you. Thanks, Martin, for today. Thanks, Zach, for all you do. This has been the Down and Dirty with Scott Mitchell. Until then, we'll see you then.